We briefly interrupt our World War II programming to bring you, this April, a new documentary about a very old city. Cahokia? Fudge. Cornea. Cahokia. Have you ever heard of Native Americans? Well, neither have we. Over the past weeks, we have consulted over 2 experts on one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of North American history. Piles of dirt. Really, really big piles of dirt. Cahokian civilization settled along the northern Mississippi River valleys and was much like most ancient North American civilizations. They grew corn and other common crops, their political structure was organized into villages, and their culture was generally undervalued and overlooked. Around 700 CE, Cahokia started to grow as a popular culture. Contrary to popular belief, Cahokia wasn't composed of a homogeneous population like most contemporary cities were. Based on dental records, archaeologists can conclude that many Cahokians migrated from a several hundred-mile radius. Although little is known about this original culture due to lack of written records and shoddy research, Cahokia was home to a rich cultural tradition that influenced all Mississippian tribes, and the mysterious mounds they built have marked the landscape for centuries.
So I grew up in Bama, and I was hunting possum with my pa. Then I decided to move up to Illinois because I heard about Sasquatch. Squatch would do wonders for my fur business because everybody knows it's the deadliest catch. We're pretty close to St. Louis and all. It's a big city, but hunting for squatch out in the countryside of Illinois, that is ideal sport. I was right outside the Mississippi River, and there was all these mounds, and they were all flat, not natural. And I was out hunting with my gun, and this park ranger comes up to me. I was real confused and all, because there was a bunch of tourists, and they looked real scared. And I came across these mounds. They weren't natural. They were all flat, and they looked man-made. He informed me that this has been a state park since 1923, and I was not permitted to hunt here. Apparently, this had been a large city for the Native Americans, something called Coca-Cola, far more impressive than natural wonders like Yellowstone or Yosemite. I mean, natural wonders are not as impressive as this large city of Native Americans, unless that natural wonder is Squatch.
Over 120 mounds are built at Cahokia, but little is known as to the actual purpose of these mounds. The largest one is Monk's Mound, which was probably home to the religious leader of the city, who likely lived in a large building on top of the mound. Monk's Mound is an example of a platform mound, or a large structure built to elevate specific important buildings, such as temples. Platform mounds are an example of one type of mound built at Cahokia, but they constructed 2 other types, ridgetop mounds and conical mounds, which were probably used to commemorate certain spiritual sites. Ridgetop mounds were used kind of like cemeteries, and these burial mounds probably had some sort of indication of like status or rank within the society. Some archaeologists theorize that these mounds were used for sacrifice. They speculate that local people would come to the mounds and leave important valuables at the top as offering to the gods. Some think that the presence of a large number of skeletons at 1 or 2 of these mounds is evidence of mass killings of young girls as sacrifice to the gods, but there's not enough to either confirm or deny this theory. Other archaeologists look to Woodhenge and Emerald Mound for an answer. Every 18.6 years or so, the full moon is as north as it gets, and it just so happens to line up exactly with the top of Emerald Mound, and some archaeologists have drawn a conclusion that a lunar cult was centered at Cahokia, but I don't believe that. Me? I think it was aliens. You see, it's very possible that Native Americans mistook aliens as their gods.
Okay, stop. This is too much.
You're covering up the conspiracy. Wake
Stop,
up, America!
No, stop!
Woodstock. Only the greatest music festival of all time. I wish I remembered more of it, but those shrooms... Wait, Woodhenge? Oh, I don't know anything about that. What? So, like, apparently these people in, Illinois, built these giant... What's my lane? Okay, they put these like posts in the ground, like in a circle, like the one in Italy,
England.
England. They use these as like a calendar in order to know when to plant their crops. Wait, crops like shrooms?
No, not shrooms.
So, yeah, they made these giant circle of wood posts in order to know what day it was. Woodhenge.
Wrong kind of Indian, guys.
Around 1100 AD, there was a city called Cahokia, and it was the largest city not only in America, but in the world. However, half of Cahokia had already been destroyed by the time that researchers got around to it. It was overlooked as a historical site and not even written in the textbooks. So modern day archaeologists have a really hard time getting in there and really identifying what's happened in the city since half of it was destroyed. And Cahokia was a big deal for the people of Mississippi and in that area, and it still is. And the site isn't even named after the original tribe that was there. It was named after a tribe that settled there in the 1600s, leaving it, which was at least 200 years after the decline of the city.